The electric shotgun crackled like lightning in the dark, and my Angus cattle bellowed so loud you'd swear some kind of Texas manhunt was underway. You ever wake up to a sound so wrong that your whole body's telling you, run, but it's your own ranch, your own herd? That was me wide awake at 2:47 a.m., boots half-laced, gripping my old Winchester and praying I wasn't about to walk into a bad dream. Turns out it wasn't thieves, well, not the usual kind. It was 3 HOA members in full-on camo, professional-grade cattle prods lighting up the night, herding my best Angus into an unmarked refrigerated truck. I'm not making this up. I watched 12 of my prize breeding cows vanish into that truck like a magic trick. 2 weeks later, their beef was front and center on the menu at the brand new community grill in the middle of Willowbrook Heights subdivision run by the same folks supposedly protecting our neighborhood. But here's the thing, I let it happen. I didn't even call the sheriff. See, sometimes the best way to catch a thief isn't to chase them, but to let them feel safe. Right before you pull the rug out from under everything they've built. That's the way Texas ranchers handle getting their honor, their land, and their cattle stolen. Just ask my granddad. God rest his stubborn soul. The next morning, I found a latex glove by the broken fence Willowbrook Security Services, clear as day. Same company the HOA uses. My camera's hacked. The footage for that exact night wiped clean, replaced by a loop from the evening before. Professional work. This wasn't some joyrider stealing cattle for kicks. This was organized crime corporate level with cybercrime thrown in for good measure. Around noon, Dolly Mae Hutchkins, my neighbor and courthouse secretary, since forever showed up with a thermos of coffee and her "don't mess with me" look. Red honey, you see those military vehicles last night? I bet this is about those new HOA folks. Victoria Mansfield and that Marcus fella been sniffing around asking about zoning property values, legal loopholes. When Dolly's gut says something's off, you listen. A couple weeks later, I drove by Willowbrook Heights and nearly wrecked my truck when the smell of grilling beef stopped me cold. Walked right into Community Grill, saw the marbling and the cut of those steaks, and knew that was my herd. Victoria herself was out front business suit, sharp enough to cut glass, selling authentic farm-to-table experience to customers who had no idea they were eating my stolen cows. She didn't even recognize me, figured I was a hired hand. When I pressed about their ranch partners, Victoria got shifty. Marcus, her chef partner, bragged about having the best black Angus in Texas, staring me right in the eye, either the best liar I'd ever met or completely clueless. Their whole operation was one big, shiny fraud, registered under shell companies, buried in LLC paperwork, with a slick story for every question. Thing is, I've raised those cattle from calves. I know every scar and every bloodline. I could pick out a Caldwell ribeye from across a packed steakhouse. But the real twist, their farm-to-table gig was just the first phase. A blueprint surfaced for Rocky Mountain Resort experience at Willowbrook Valley. Jake Morrison, my best friend, gearhead, and conspiracy nut since high school, showed me the whole thing spread out on his shop table at 3 in the morning. They were going to turn my ranch into an Aspen-style resort, golf courses, spas, you name it all, anchored by their shiny restaurant. Victoria, as HOA president, had been quietly buying up tax debt on the smaller surrounding farms, laying a financial trap to force a sellout, and my land was the crown jewel. Except Victoria didn't know about my grandfather's will. Inside that old safe, under deeds going back to 1889, I found a letter giving me exclusive water and mineral rights over not just my ranch, but the entire aquifer that fed Willowbrook Heights and every property in sight. My granddad had set a legal bear trap so tight that not a single drop of water could be used for development without my say-so. And then there was a note for the future Victorias if they ever try it, followed by a list of lawyers and water law citations. I nearly cried holding that in my hands. Victoria didn't waste time fighting back. Within days, I was hit with an environmental report from Lanier Environmental Solutions, which turned out to be Marcus's shell company, accusing me of polluting the groundwater, creating erosion, and being a methane menace to public health. Next, HOA dues for every house in Willowbrook jumped from $150 to $400 to fund remediation and community protection against agricultural threats. Then came the smear campaign online photos of my herd captions about toxic cattle neighbors whipped into a frenzy. Victoria wanted to squeeze me from every angle, but she made one fatal legal mistake. She served beef from non-commercial sources without a health permit. 3 families got food poisoning and called the county health department, who, thanks to Dolly May, moonlighting as an inspector, showed up with a clipboard and shut Community Grill down for violations ranging from unlicensed meat processing to improper storage. I made sure the health department and local press saw every piece of evidence: the HOA embezzlement, fake environmental reports, Marcus's phantom consulting fees, all of it documented and ready to go. But before bringing down the hammer, I played one more hand, offered to become their official supplier at a price so low Victoria couldn't resist, buried in the contract full rights for audits, documentation, and access to the whole operation. With Dolly May's help, I bought a 30% stake in the restaurant through a holding company. Now I had a seat at the table, literally and legally. Their luck held just long enough for things to blow up in public. The Texas BBQ hunter blogger, 500,000 followers, showed up to review Community Grill and live-streamed Victoria and Marcus arguing about hiding the source of their beef and dividing HOA funds. The hashtag BBQ drama went viral. The community hit by fee hikes and fed up wanted answers. HOA members started digging, and soon the whole elaborate scheme unraveled. Customers and staff already liked me, not them. 4th of July weekend rolled around. I got city permits and staged a community BBQ festival. Hundreds showed up. The mayor, county sheriff, press, and even some potential investors crowded the lawn. I took the mic, let the suspense build, then laid it all out. I'm the owner of every Black Angus you've eaten at Community Grill. Victoria and Marcus stole 12 of my cows. Here's the proof. And here's where your HOA money's gone. I showed the crowd forged reports, bank statements, and the water rights documents my granddad left behind. Victoria tried to shout me down, then started confessing on a live mic right in front of police and city officials. Dolly May strode into the kitchen, clipboard in hand, and shut down the restaurant for a dozen violations. The sheriff started taking statements. The crowd started recording. Victoria, desperate, tried to play the victim, blaming backwards landowners for blocking community progress, but it was too late. Every bribe, every false report, every stolen cow was coming home to roost. Her final gambit was a lawsuit accusing me of conspiracy, demanding $2 million in damages. What she didn't know, I'd finished a law degree before taking over the ranch. My legal response made it clear she and Marcus were facing criminal charges, massive civil liability, and their precious resort project was dead on arrival. The ace up my sleeve was the clause in my granddad's will. If anyone ever tried to steal our land through fraud, the whole ranch became a perpetual cooperative for local farming families. Even if they'd succeeded, all their contracts would be worthless. Within a month, Victoria and Marcus were indicted. Community Grill became Caldwell Community BBQ Cooperative, run by folks who cared about the land, the food, and the truth. Victoria quietly left for Austin, where rumor has it she's giving legal advice to tech startups. I sent her a congrats card, not because I forgive, but because sometimes the best revenge is proving you were always the better person. Now, when I watch my Angus grazing at sunrise, I know my granddad was right. The land protects itself if you're smart enough to help. So what do you think? Was justice served, or did I go too far? Leave a comment. Share your own story. If you've ever had to outsmart someone to protect what matters, like and share if you believe karma sometimes needs a nudge. And remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't a gunshot in the night. It's letting the truth come out in broad daylight for everyone to see.